Hey, this week we're going to do the weathering on my 32nd scale Trumpeter EA-18G Growler. Alright, so let's get going with some weathering. So two things we're going to do, as always, we're going to start with a clay wash for panel lines, and we'll clean that up, and then we'll come back with some neat oils to create some more grime and beat this thing up. Now, being the black surfaces, I'm not going to use my usual dark dirt on those because you're not going to see it. So I'm going to use grey for the black areas, and I'm going to use dark dirt for the grey areas. So starting off, again, this is best working in sections. So it's such a big area, I don't do that the whole thing. It'd just be too much to do at one go. So what I'm going to do is always take my shot glass, little plastic cup, get from dollar store, 24 of these guys, or Amazon, you get like 100 for like $8. And I did give this a quick shake, and there it's like a basic sludge kind of thing. And the beauty of this is it's easy to work. If you screw up, just water it, wash right off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with one wing. So let's start with this wing. And I'm just going to brush this all over. And the point with this is once you wipe it off, in theory it'll just leave it in those recessed panel lines, and all the rest has come off, and also go back to the grey colour of the aircraft. This works. It's actually a really good. Dark dirt works great with light ghost grey. It just comes up really well, I find. Do a flap here too. Cool. So we'll do that for a test, and then just for now, as you can see on the camera. And let me get another one of these shot glasses. Again, 24 for $1 from Dollar Tree in the US. These guys. And this time we're going to use the grey. And you can mix these colours up too. So I mean, you can mix a little bit, you know, to make it a little darker or lighter. So let me just wipe my brush off real quick, and then we'll get going with the grey. And this is just going to look much better. It's actually going to show up on the black here surface rather than like the dark grey, with the dark dirt, which will just you won't be able to see very good. Just pick out all those rivets, all the areas like that. And then I'm just going to leave it to the side and let it dry. So we'll come back in about 25-30 minutes, and we'll come and then we can start taking this off and see how it looks. Alright, so it's been about 40 minutes, to be honest with you. It's all dry, you can see here. And we're going to take it off. So I should have mentioned first, as we just one of the panel lines, I did put a gloss coat down. So gloss coat means you can wipe this stuff off. If you have like a rough textured flat coat, it's going to get stuck in there, it's going to be tougher to remove, but it can add great weathering effects too, so depends what you're looking for. So I guess starting with stabilizer, I'm just going to lightly licked a piece of pitch and paper, just kind of broken up into little squares here, and then I'm just going to lightly rub it across, apply a little bit more moisture, and then you can see how it's all coming off pretty easily. But I'm just going to go back in the direction of the airflow. So in the case of an aircraft, it's going to be forward to back. On a helicopter, it's going to be up to down. And I'm going to come back with some oil, so I don't want much dirt on here. Okay, and then you can see it's picked out all the panel lines, the rivets and stuff. You can see clearly now compared to like that on the other side. See the difference? So let's now look at the tail. I'll put the grey on. Okay, so really just using this to just kind of get the bulk of it off and come back with a clean one. And then you can see on this side too, see how the grey is showing up against the black, so you see some detail on there. when you're doing a 30-second scale, everything's obviously a lot more. You get through more wash, more paper, everything. With 70-second scale, it's a little bit more manageable, but obviously the bigger scale, longer stuff takes to do, you know, clean and stuff. Being careful when I go over these decals. Again, they have been sealed in with that clear coat, but nevertheless, some of these don't stick that great, and you can rip them off. So again, just being a little bit careful and just wiping all that grey off. And there you go, it's the tail. Looking pretty cool. Now, move this around so you can see the wing. Same principle. Just rub it off. Again, if you get all that weird texture stuff, it just means your paint's not smooth. So that's the reason for that too. Is hard to reach areas, just use a cotton bud or a Q-tip, just get in there. So again, let's compare that side to that side. Again, you just see more rivet detail, all the panel lines. It's just a very subtle way of doing it. You can use oil wash as well, but I just like using this clay wash stuff. So that's basically it. I'm not going to bore you with me doing the whole thing. So I'm going to now work around the whole aircraft, upper and lower, and in power of editing, we'll come back and you can see how it looks. Okay, so had one of those days yesterday where it all went wrong. So let me show you where we're up to here. So we obviously got the wash on and off, and we added a clear matte coat, although it doesn't look it looks a little shiny still. So what went wrong? So I put on the wash, no problem at all. Then around here somewhere, now it's kind of part of the weathering, it'll get blended in. But let's clean the airbrush out, and I squirted airbrush thinner all across here, and it just ate straight through the paint. So I had to spray it back, touch it all up, mask it, touch it, all that kind of stuff. Took care of that, no problem at all. Sprayed my XF86, which I never ever have issues with. Did one coat and it's still shiny, so I did a second coat and still shiny, and did a third, hosed it on and still some shininess. So I think I just overthinned it. I think the problem with that one is. But anyway, it's fine. I don't like it super matte anyway, because in real life they're a little bit more, there's a little bit of a sheen to it. So took care of that. What else did we do? We added the radar at the end, just glued that on. We hand painted the avionics bays, which is a little bit of grey and black paint, and a little bit of yellow here and there, per my reference material. So again, this book, if you haven't got one, I recommend you get this. Read Air Publications, and it's got all the bays, and you can see quite clearly, we did these two, and we did page behind, gets these two as well. So yeah, it's a great reference material. So they hand painted those real quick, no problem at all. Also, you probably realize this was all painted black, so I masked this up and painted this grey, but this little box here to match the pizza box, they call it, to match the dark ghost grey. Paint did bleed, so again I had to mask it up, touch it up. So again, it wasn't a very good day yesterday, but anyway, we got through it. Got the burner cans. They're not even glued, they just popped right on and they're secure, no problem at all, just a push fit. So that's where we're at with this. So really it's now time for the final stage of weathering, which will be, I'm just trying to manipulate this, getting camera shot, will be the oils. So as always, we can use Appetylon, and there's 3 colors. I have a few, but there's only 3 colors I ever use: Starship Filth, Smoke, and Dark Faded Yellow, which is almost like an orange, which looks good hydraulic stains. And yeah, amazing paints, oil paints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of paper towel here, and just, you don't need a small amount of this. And if you remember back, I don't know, like part 1 maybe, very beginning of this build when we did landing gear, this is what we used to make a wash, a nice grimy wash for the gear. So just mix this with a little tiny bit with like dot with a bunch of enamel thinners and made that wash. So this time we're going to use it neat. So a little bit on the paper towel. You can use cardboard too. It just kind of absorbs some of the oil and makes it dry quicker. Although my paints never really have much of oil. When I see some people online, they squeeze it and also oil oozes out, where mine just don't have that for some reason. I have 3 brushes. I use a soft one, more of a rigid one, which probably needs replacing, and a smaller brush. These are my go-to brushes, my oil paints. And finally, I odorless thinners, enamel thinners. I happen to have the 502 here. You could use the Tamiya, the blue top one, or whatever you have. I'm gonna pour away from my jet because I don't want to get all over everywhere. But so tiny little drop in the lid there. That's all we need, and we're good to go. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna change this around slightly because recently I found it really hard to get to blend. It just stuck a little bit too much, although this surface is a little bit too shiny. So, you know, let me try it the old way first and just see how we get on. So, just get some thinners in my brush here and kind of loosen the bristles. Okay, I mean, you kind of dry brush it off with my paper towel here, or the excess. And what we're going to do basically is just follow the panel line. So, it's a little tricky here. We're working around the camera. Let me try, like, you see how I'm just kind of drawing on over the panel lines? Like that. And then I'm just going with my other brush and blend it in. Again, this is, if it's matte you need a matte finish so it sticks. But if you got a glossy finish, it's going to wipe right off. So this is a little bit kind of satin, so I think I'm good to go. We'll see if this doesn't blend good, we'll come back with some thinners and kind of wet down the surface, but you can't see what we're getting. Okay, no, actually it's working pretty good. So, like I say, whatever reason my XF86, that follow is incorporating me, it's not getting really matte finish. So what I'm doing is I'm just following through, blending it in, and you can see we're adding like, see how adding some like lines on here and just some dirt, and you can also pull it back, so streak it back, or just manipulate it wherever you want it. If you put too much on, just with the Q-tip, let's just wipe it off like that. Now in the past I've done super grimy ones. You see me do like my MiG-29 and you know the previous Hornet I did. This time I'm not going to do quite so bad. I'm just going to do a little bit more subtle on this one. I don't want to kind of completely beat it up. So that's looking pretty good. Again, if you just keep brushing it in and add a little bit more down here. Like that. Again, we're just going to come back in and oh, wrong one. And actually looking pretty good. So it gives a nice subtle look. I don't know if you can quite see it in the light how we're looking there. If you want it a little less subtle too, again, just with a nice soft brush, dip it in your thinners and just wipe it over the surface first, and then you can apply it more like a pin wash almost. And there's different ways you can do it, but this is kind of the way I like, just glancing down, just giving a nice little grime down the wing. I'm not sure how well the camera picks it up. So I'm just going to work my way through the whole aircraft, upper and lower, with this one color first. And I think that might be as far as I want to go with this. Like I said, I don't want to beat it up completely, this one. I just want like a slight, you know, subtle weathering on it. Oh, well, one thing I'll show you real quick while I got the camera running is, get some more oil, is streaks. So like especially down like these guys, down there, you can just, again, just a dot, and just with your brush, just streak it down. See how you create that streak. Like that. Cool. So looking really good. I'm actually happy how it's turning out. So I'm going to now work my way around the rest of the aircraft off camera, and I'll come back and show you kind of where we're at. Okay, so I'm done. Spent like an hour going around with the oils. I just kept it to Starship Filth because I want to be a little bit more subtle, which is not normally a word I use in my weathering and my building, but this one I didn't want to go crazy and just beat it completely to hell like my previous Hornets. So just use Starship Filth, like I mentioned, and just kind of careful how I hold this, but that's kind of how we're looking. So I hold it back. You can see the light, how it just accentuates some of those lines. I didn't go every single line, just some at the bottom,
And hopefully on the side there, you can see the grime. It's going to mellow out as it dries, and talking of which, it takes about 5 days to fully dry. So if possible, just put it to the side. Don't keep touching it, otherwise you get fingerprints and stuff on it. I like what I'm doing now. So see on the back there, I've added some streaks down those guys and underneath. Also, it's nice to, the nozzle just clicks back in. And what's nice too is if you get a couple pound lines a little bit faint or whatever with a wash, you can just come back with the oils and kind of accentuate them a little bit there too. So one thing I'm showing you now, let's actually show it with the nose on. So the nose is painted too, and remember we magnetized it. And there we go. It's a magnet on, see the radar? Off, see the radar, should I say, and on. Looking pretty slick. So we displayed like this, but we're just like that. You can take it off and see that. So earlier on, I think part number 3 possibly, when I talked about the magnets, actually worked really good. So I'm happy how that turned out. And there she is. So we're almost done with this one. We've done most of our work. A lot of little things left to do. We've got the avionics based doors to do, all the gear doors to do, just kind of pain to build them all. I think it's 8 underneath different doors. And then adding the gear on. I mean, the gear can go on now, and then just adding all those doors, and then all the ordnance we built early on. So when I talked early on about the build, how I break my process of my build management, I like to get that stuff out of the way, because at this point, I'm already kind of, back of my mind, kind of thinking about the next project I want to work on and what I want to do. And the last thing I want to do is start building a bunch of missiles and fuel tanks and stuff. So that's why I do it early on. So yeah, we still got to add like lights and antennas, all kinds of stuff. So almost done. Possibly last week might be the last episode, if not maximum 2 more, depending how much more work we got left to do. So thank you as always for watching. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. If you want to follow Help Support channels, I have a Patreon with early access. But again, thank you for watching. Hope you have a great week, and I shall see you next time. Bye.